This is so exciting! You have made it to the final day of opinion writing. In today's video, I'm going to teach you something that writers find really hard, which is revising and editing. Even though it might not seem that important, I can assure you that revising and editing are two of the most important things that you can do to improve your writing. So grab paper and a pencil and let's get started.
Alright students, this is the final step to make your opinion writing go from great to amazing. So you are going to be looking back at all of your writing today, so make sure that you have it out in front of you. You can find these worksheets linked below. If you're one of my students, you can find it in our Google Classroom, or maybe you've created your own using paper and a pencil. So what have we already done? Remember that we brainstormed a plan for our opinion writing. We wrote a really strong introduction. Then we wrote 3 important reasons and we had examples. And finally, in the last video, we wrote a really strong conclusion. What is the difference between editing and revising? I found this image online. It was created by Sarah McMurrow. Revising is all about making it sound better, versus editing, which is all about making it look better. So let's start with editing. For editing, I always tell my students to think about cups, capitals, usage or understanding, punctuation, and finally spelling. Let's talk about capitals and the rules for capitals. I found this image online from Mrs. Jones' Creation Station. Every time you're looking for capitals, make sure that you read your writing carefully, as capitals can be so easy to miss. Or maybe you haven't capitalized something and you need to capitalize it. Oftentimes, I'll find my students and they've put a capital letter in the middle of the word or the middle of the sentence. Sometimes it helps to grab a partner and have them read it for you and see if they can find anything that you missed. So here are the rules for capital letters. Every single sentence, at the very start of the sentence, the first letter needs to be capitalized. Otherwise, the rest of your letters should be lowercase. However, there are some exceptions. The word I, letter I by itself, when you're talking about you, I, me, myself, should always be a capital I, as well as the names of specific people, places, or pets. Anything that usually you find on a calendar, such as the months of the year, specific holidays, or the days of the week, all need to start with a capital letter. Next is checking for usage and understanding. This can be really tricky, but essentially ask yourself, if your reader is confused, then your writing isn't as powerful. My big tip that I can give you is read your writing out loud. Ask yourself these questions. Does it sound right? Does it make sense? Have someone else read it out loud. If it makes you go, huh? Or, oops, I didn't mean to write that, then this is your chance to change it. For instance, look at this example I have. My opinion that we should have more recess. It is good because. Thank you for read my writing. Uh-oh, it doesn't make sense. Now I can go back and look and say, oh, what I meant to say is, my opinion is that we should have more recess. It is good because, oops, I made a mistake here. I forgot to finish my sentence, so I need to go back and make sure that I finish that rest of the sentence. And then thank you for read my writing. I forgot to add the ing. Thank you for reading my writing. Now, rules for punctuation. Reread your writing carefully, as these can be easy to miss. Or grab a partner to read it for you. Really, what I want you guys to focus on is periods, apostrophes, and quotation marks, as these are the ones that are used the most often and students often miss. Remember, every sentence needs to end with some kind of punctuation. Usually, that's a period. But remember, if you're asking a question like, did you know, or have you ever thought, then you need to use a question mark. And remember those quotation marks, so important. They're used for any time you've borrowed the words of somebody else. Now for some spelling strategies. Reread your writing carefully, because again, these can be easy to miss. Or grab a partner to read it for you. And try 2 to 3 of these spelling strategies. Here's some ones that I like to do. I always like to try out number 5, which is try out different spellings. I take a word that I find tricky and I spell it out 3 different ways and see which one looks the most correct. This is one of my favorite ones to teach my students, is number 7, which is break the word into syllables. For example, telephone. 3 syllables. And remember, in each syllable you have to have a vowel, an A, E, I, O, or a U, and sometimes a Y. Now let's move on to revising. I found this image online. So arms is adding sentences or words, removing unneeded words or sentences, moving, which is changing a sentence or where you have a word, and substitute, which means trading words or sentences for other better ones. Here's my tips for adding. Reread your writing carefully and ask yourself which parts need some more detail. Look at your examples section especially for each reason and ask yourself, do I have 3 or more examples for each reason? Have you used transition words? In this image here, I have lots of different transition words that you can add. tips for removing. Reread your writing carefully and ask yourself which parts aren't very important. Or have you already used that reason or example somewhere else? Does it even fit with your main idea? Again, a partner is really helpful for this. Look at my example here. It kind of makes you go, huh? One reason is that recess helps you to exercise. And exercise helps you to stay healthy. I really like to play jump rope. You grab a rope and 2 friends and you jump up and down. And that is why we should have more recess. Huh? I'm talking about recess helping me to exercise, but that part about jumping rope and how to jump rope doesn't really fit in. So I should probably remove that and maybe add another example that would make more sense that connects to exercising and recess. Now here are some tips for moving sentences around. Reread your writing carefully and ask yourself, will that sentence fit better somewhere else? Do you have a word in the wrong place? And again, partners are so helpful for this. One reason is that exercise helps you at recess. See, it doesn't necessarily sound bad, but I might change the wording of that. For example, I might say, one reason that recess is really important is that it helps you to exercise. See, that sounds a lot better. Scientists say that kids who have a longer recess do better in school. That's a great example and a great idea, but it's not really in the right place. This reason is all about exercise. That example that I used would be better for my third reason, which is what scientists say about recess. I should probably move that sentence to my third reason. Now finally, tips for substituting. My favorite thing to tell my students to do is use juicy words. And I have a list here of powerful, persuasive words that you can add to your writing to make your writing go from good to great. The sources are also going to be some of your best friends. And here I have 2 links to some great thesauruses that you can find online. And you are all done. So what can you do next? I really hope that you share your opinion writing with someone, whether it's your teacher, your friend, or hopefully the person that you wrote it to in the first place. And I encourage you to rewatch all these videos and write another opinion piece. You can even work on typing up your writing. When you type up your writing, you could add pictures to it, or change the font, or change the color. There are so many different ideas.
And that's it. You are finished with your opinion writing piece. I am so proud of you. Now that you're finished, you need to share your opinion writing piece with the world. Thank you so much for watching this series on opinion writing. And as always, remember that you are in charge of your own learning, and I can't wait to see how you continue to grow. Bye!